Today we're going to talk about something called making inferences. And you might not know what this means, but you all make inferences all the time, every day, constantly. And so we are going to learn about them today. I need a volunteer to read us our learning target. There are two tricky words, inferences and schema. Can you all say schema?
Schema.
Schema. Francesca, please read us our learning target.
Learning target. I can make inferences by using text evidence and my schema.
Perfect. Let's read it together. Are we ready? I can make inferences by using text evidence and my schema. Great. First, we have to read the text. What do we do second? Aaliyah?
Think about what I already know by using my schema.
Good. And we put them together to do what, Darren?
Put the text and the schema together to make an inference.
Inference. Great. Are you ready to make an inference right now? Okay. So I'm going to read you a text. I want you to think about what you already know. Okay? So put it together to make an inference. So now that you know how to make an inference, we're going to read a book. And we are going to make so many inferences as we read because good readers make inferences. Why do you think good readers make inferences? Eden?
Because usually authors make their books like asking questions and stuff, and so the readers might not understand, so they should think about what they mean.
Yeah. So sometimes readers might not understand what the author's saying, so they might have to think about what the author's saying. Does making an inference help you to better understand what you're reading?
Yes.
Yes. This is a picture of the book we're reading, A Brave Girl from Pakistan, written by Jeanette Winter. But this is a real-life picture of her. So what does it already tell us about the book?
It's real life.
It's a real story. So since there's a photograph of her, we know that this must be a real person. A brave girl from Pakistan. Here is Pakistan on the map. Okay? It's in the continent of Asia. It's right next to India. Okay? So this is where she's from. All right, so we are going to go ahead and get started with our reading. And as we're reading, we will make lots of inferences. Raise your hand if you already have some background knowledge about Malala. Awesome. Wonderful. Who is Malala? The Taliban fighter demands looking into the school van. All right, so go ahead and look at this page. Study it with your eyes. What do we already notice and wonder about this page? Do you see it, Anthony? What do we already notice and wonder? Elijah?
That she goes to church.
To church? Listen, I'm going to read this again. Who is Malala? The Taliban fighter demands looking into the school van. What? Right here by Summer.
To go to a school.
She's trying to go to school. Yes, so they're probably at school. The brave girls of Swat Valley outwit the Taliban fighters by wearing everyday clothes to school. Their uniforms stay hidden at home. Are any of you thinking? Please move to your spot. Are any of you thinking and making inferences in your head right now about why the girls would not wear uniforms to school? So here's my question. Why would wearing everyday clothing to school trick the Taliban fighters? So here's our text evidence that we just read. Why would doing that trick the Taliban fighters? Turn and talk, knee to knee, heart to heart, eye to eye. Use your schema. Use the text evidence to share. Why would wearing everyday clothing trick the Taliban fighters? How would it trick them? Eli, what are you thinking? How would it trick the boys or the Taliban fighters?
So the boys might think that they didn't want them.
Okay. Who can help build on what Eli has said? Thank you, Eli, for sharing. Eden, what are you thinking?
I think that they are wearing everyday clothes because, first Lieutenant Rowan said that they didn't check in them because they might think
Maybe they think they're just playing because they're wearing everyday clothes.
Yeah, and my thought was that they were tricking, well, not really tricking them, but outwitting them because they were not, just like we have to wear uniforms, they had to wear uniforms, but since they wanted the right to go to school, they didn't listen to it.
Okay, so Eden just made a really good connection. She just said, we have to wear uniforms to school, right? So here's my schema that I use that a lot of you I think used as well. I know that kids wear uniforms at school, right? Do we all know that? Is that in our schema? Kids wear uniforms at school. I also know that people see kids going to school, and whenever I'm driving to school and I see a kid waiting for the bus stop, or I see a kid on the side of the road walking and they're wearing a uniform, I can make an inference and think, oh, they're going to school because they're wearing a uniform, right? So, if they're not wearing uniforms, how does that trick the Taliban fighters? If they're not wearing uniforms, what does it make them think? Aaliyah?
It makes them think that maybe they aren't going.
Maybe they're not going to school. Maybe they quit going. Good. So my inference was, I can infer that the girls are able to trick the Taliban fighters because the fighters will never see them in their uniforms, and so they will think that the girls are not going to school. Do you all think the girls are smart?
Yep.
I do. Malala speaks out again and again. They cannot stop me. I will get my education. If it is home, school, or any place. There is no peace in Swat Valley. The Taliban burn and bomb the schools. Still, Malala speaks out. The extremists are afraid of books and pens. They are afraid of women. How dare the Taliban take away my basic right to education? Okay, you ready to make another inference?
Yeah.
All right, this time it's on you. How do you think Malala feels about what's happened? So what is Malala's reaction to the burning and bombing of schools? And how do you think she feels? Turn and talk. Knee to knee, heart to heart, eye to eye. How does she feel? Here's our text evidence. Ryan, how do you think she feels about the burning and bombing of schools? Malcolm, what are you thinking?
I think she feels upset because they destroyed all the schools.
She feels probably upset because they destroyed all of the schools. Darian, what are you thinking?
I think she's probably upset, but she's also going to make a new school.
Maybe she'll make a new school. Ooh, so you're predicting and thinking ahead. What makes you think that?
Because she's like, how dare they destroy my education?
Good. So she's speaking out, Darren, right? Even though they bombed her school, she's still saying, no, this is wrong. Right? Good. All right, here's my schema. I know that most people would feel upset about schools being bombed or burned. I also know that Malala is still speaking against the Taliban fighters. Okay, so I can say I can infer that Malala feels blank. Because, all right, you have a space on your paper. Here's where you get to make your inference. I can infer that Malala feels blank because blank. I can infer that Malala feels blank because blank. I notice that Justina is writing her inference in. All right, Corianne, will you share your inference with us while we're finishing up?
I can infer that Malala feels
What did you write on your paper?
sad.
Because?
They're trying to like take away her education and bombing the and bombing the schools.
And bombing the schools, so you can infer that she feels sad. Attending school becomes more and more dangerous. Girls travel to and from school in a van for safety. Until one day, a Taliban fighter stops the van, looks inside, and demands, "Who is Malala?" Speak up, otherwise I will shoot you all. He shoots Malala. Okay? All right. So I want you to turn and talk to your partner. And here's the question I want us to answer. How did the Taliban fighter know who Malala was? You have to make an inference because it doesn't tell us. Justina, what do you think?
Maybe he knew who she was because she kind of like maybe raised her hand and said, I am Malala.
Oh.
Stood up
Ooh.
because she wasn't afraid to talk out before some punishment.
Can we give her 2 snaps and an oh yeah? Oh yeah! She just made an excellent inference. She said, I think Malala stood up and said, I'm Malala. Because we know that she has spoken up all throughout the story, right? Good. That could have happened. We got to move on. But here was my schema. I know that a very brave person might say, don't shoot them. I'm the one you are looking for. Okay? So my inference was very similar to Justina's inference in that Malala has shown us all throughout the story what a strong, brave person she is. Okay? And thank you. Will you leave that on my desk for me? She showed us how brave she is, and that shows me that she probably would say, don't shoot them, don't hurt them, I'm Malala. So go ahead and make your inference. This is the last inference we're going to make. I can infer they knew who Malala was because, tell me, I can infer they knew who Malala was because blank. Down in 5, 4, tracking me, 3, 2, 1, pencils down, 0. Thank you. Okay. The van rushes her to the small hospital in Swat Valley. A helicopter lifts her to a bigger hospital far away. A jet plane flies her across the ocean to a still bigger hospital. Everywhere the doctors work to save her. The shot fired at Malala is heard over the world. Prayers from girls and boys, women and men surround her bedside. Slowly, Malala wakes from the nightmare. She opens her eyes, holds a book, and smiles. And her voice returns. On Malala's 16th birthday, before world leaders, she speaks out again, stronger than before. They thought that bullets would silence us, but they failed. One child, one teacher, one book, one pen can change the world. The world hears the voice of this brave girl from Pakistan and listens. Did the Taliban get what they wanted?
No.
No. All right, I have one more question for you. Who is Malala? We just made so many inferences with this book, so we probably know now. Turn and talk, knee to knee, heart to heart, eye to eye. Who is Malala? Talk with your partner. Eric, who wants to share? Who is Malala? What do you think, Elijah?
A girl who stands up for people and stands up for girls to have the same rights as boys.
Good. A girl who stands up for other girls to have the same rights as boys. And Francesca?
I think Malala is a girl, a fighter, like a brave girl that fights for human rights.
Uh-huh.
And she doesn't care what other people say, but she wants education.
Good.
And she fights for girls' education and everyone that will make the world a better place.
Excellent. All right. Here's my last question. How do I make an inference? How do I make an inference? Who thinks they know? How can I make an inference? What do I need?